Welcome to the Growth Desk, where we explore how industry's top innovators are using AI to power smarter, more scalable advisory businesses. And today, we're turning the spotlight on compliance. Yes, the word that usually makes advisors groan, but it's also the very foundation of a firm's reputation and growth. So I have the pleasure of being joined by Jody Leibowitz, Chief Strategy Officer at Archive Intel, a firm on the front lines of applying AI to one of the most complex and critical functions in wealth management. And we'll unpack how AI is being used to streamline workflows, tackle the new SEC marketing rule, and what's just over the horizon for AI-driven compliance solutions. So Jody, thanks so much for joining me. Let's dive in.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Shannon.
Of course. So, $1 million question for you then to kick things off.
Mhm.
What are the most impactful ways you see AI used to streamline compliance workflows?
Great question. AI has absolutely redefined the way we view compliance. I think the first thing to recognize is false flags. So, every AI platform out there that works in compliance does reduce false flags. We do need to say, what does that mean from a big picture standpoint? And I think every time we look at the different avenues of AI within compliance workflows, we have to look at the big picture and how they can vary along the way. So, looking at false flags, we want to look for a product that also looks at the disclaimer. Because if we're only getting false flags in content and not capturing disclaimers and saying, okay, I identified this as a disclaimer, we are not going to flag that, we really won't drive the results that we're looking for. But when done correctly, we're looking at 99% plus reduction in false flags. The time savings and workflow savings for compliance groups is just unbelievable. So that's the first one I'd like to talk about. The next one I'd like to talk about is just looking at overall compliance tasks. So this is where it starts to get a little bit like a puzzle being put together because we have to look at what is a manual task for compliance teams. How are they looking at all of the compliance roles that they have and streamlining it? So ideally, an AI product would reduce the amount of manual tasks needed. So this again saves time and money. So overall, we're looking at AI as not just a tool to help flag, but a tool to save times. In an ideal situation, we would have AI that automates random reviews, which we hear is the pain point for compliance officers. So AI that automates random reviews and a lot of the compliance tasks that just take a lot of time and a lot of headcount. Ideally, we're at about 85% reduction in those tasks with AI, and that is growing all the time. So it's a really exciting time to look at those workflows.
And another area that advisors have to keep top of mind right now is all about that SEC marketing rule. So, how can AI be used to ensure compliance when it comes to that?
Yeah, that's a great question too. So when we're looking at the SEC marketing rule, we want to look at exactly what it identifies. So I do have it written over here. I want to make sure that I address it for the audience so that they know how this applies to them. So in March, the SEC updated the marketing rule FAQ, and what they're looking for is clarification around performance presentations. I know anytime we hear that there's a marketing rule that's been updated, we want to make sure that we're compliant, and that touches a lot of different departments. We're not just talking about compliance. Now we're bringing in our creative teams, and now we're bringing in our marketing teams. So we need to look at AI that can be programmed and trained on net versus gross, extracted performance in time periods. So in an ideal AI and marketing situation, a marketing document would be uploaded to a platform, and AI would instantly review it. And this is trained not just on all of the SEC and FINRA compliance rules, but changes as they come. And it's also something where they're learning from their practice on specific rules. So AI can immediately flag any sort of language that is questionable, make suggestions, and if the user wants, they can accept those suggestions. The change can happen in real time. It gets time stamped and archived and then routed to compliance. So to make this a little bit bigger and looking at a broader view from compliance, as you know, I worked in pharma before, and we have very similar rules when it came to compliance in marketing. We would take weeks, months, sometimes even half a year to get a marketing document approved. It is the constant uploading, reviewing, meetings, and back and uploading again. With AI, that's all streamlined. So everything stays contained on one platform. We're talking months to seconds, and then it's time stamped and archived and readily accessible.
Well, I think you just hit on a major pain point that we've all felt in this industry. I mean, even when I used to run marketing at various well tech firms, I just remember that painful process, like you said, of the uploading and then the waiting, and then something changes within that time frame. And so it's incredible how fast this landscape is changing when it comes to AI and compliance. So that actually leads me to my next question. Let's take out the crystal ball, maybe. What's next for AI and compliance?
So AI is not going to stop. We all know that there is a tremendous amount of interest in regulation regarding AI and compliance. This seems like a good place to press pause and just let everybody know that even with the best AI tools and the newest AI tools out there, it ultimately is the firm's responsibility to be compliant in case of an audit. So that means having documents that are readily accessible. And this leads me to what is next. As we look about bringing in agentic AI, it's not just another tool that can be fit together. There has to be a data lake. All of this information has to be stored somewhere. So there are a lot of steps we need to take to get from where we are to that. But in the meantime, we are growing and there's more and more features available for everybody in the market. We really want to look at all in one. And I sat in recently on a webinar that you hosted, and the whole concept of all in one came up over and over again. And to make it personal for the firms, looking at all in one, we want to say what happens in the case of an audit. We know that we're rushing to get the best solution, but if our solution is singular, how do we access that data and then scale that solution when the next one comes in for something else and they may not align? So, as firms are looking at really growing their AI tools and also growing their firms, they need to look at how everything pieces together. All in one solutions will do that. Helps with reporting, it helps with audits, but it also helps prepare them for growth ahead, whether it be agentic AI or whether it be other features where we can group in attestations and other sorts of reviews into the product. So I just see it making everything faster and stronger and more accurate, but ultimately the control stays with the compliance department.
So let's narrow the lens then a little bit. What's next for archive intel specifically?
That I am very excited about. So, we have a lot on the table right now. The first thing we have is AI marketing review. The process that I explained earlier in our call is being launched at the end of this month. It is ready to go. So, that is now available as a preview to any customers that are interested. So, that's one thing. The next one, we're going to be looking at the client attestations, the trade review, making a true all in one tool. We do so much already. We do so much with social media, being able to transcribe videos and scan them and archive them. We're looking at the data warehouses, but all of this is not only in the works, it will be completed very, very quickly.
Well, certainly sounds like you have a very clear vision on where you're headed next. So, Jody, thank you so much. And with that, that wraps up this episode of The Growth Desk. Again, a huge thank you to Jody Leibowitz for shedding light on how Archive Intel is bringing automation, transparency, and scale to compliance without adding more of those manual review headaches that we all just need to get rid of. And as firms look to grow faster while staying above board, AI powered compliance might just become their next competitive advantage. So, thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the Growth Desk where innovation meets impact.